So I wanted to, blap. I bought a pack of sweatbands, for exercising. And there were so many in the pack, and I felt like it was way too many. So I didn't want to also buy a pack of wristbands because then I would just be overwhelmed with way too many objects. So I decided to turn one of the headbands into wristbands. And that is what I did today. I needed a really, really quick craft because I've been extremely busy. And long story short, I have something called familial atypical multimole syndrome, which is a really fancy way of saying lots of skin cancer. So I have to get another mole removed. That's why I'm dressed in this. And that's why I have very limited time today. So this craft took me, I think, 16 minutes. Pretty decent. Would have been less time if my thread wasn't knotted. Did you hear that? Oh my goodness. I have no explanation. Okay, anyways, well, so this was extremely easy. I literally just took a headband, the sweat headband, and cut it in half. And it's not like a piece of elastic through the middle of it. The whole thing is stretchy, so it works. And then you just sew the two sides together. It's so easy. So you know how it's like a tube, for the sweatband? So you open the tube pocket when you put your needle in so your knot stays inside the thing so you don't have a big knot from your, what's that called, embroidery thread sticking out. I did that on the first one, and then on the second one there is a little knot sticking out, but you really can't feel it or see it. But in order to get rid of that knot, you put it inside of the sweatband tube, and then you just sew up and down around, like I don't know what this stitch is called, but any stitch should work basically, just one side to the other, up and down. I don't know how to call that. Whatever stitch that is. This one. And then you ultimately would have wanted to use whatever color your fabric was, but I used black so you can actually see my stitches. Just big, long stitches. Nothing fancy, and lots of them because you don't want any puckers or gaps. You want it to be really sturdy. You don't want fraying or anything when you wash it. So you need it to be a lot of stitches. Very, very tight and compact. So yeah, that was pretty easy. And I needed one because I don't like my wristwatch to be too tight or else I get just like claustrophobic. So I like it to be loose enough that I can move it around up and down my wrist. But if it's loose like that when I'm exercising, it'll just slide all over the place and that's annoying. So I want one of the wristbands to keep it up, but without it being tight or else I get claustrophobic. It's so annoying, isn't it? Very. Okay, well, anyways, I've been super claustrophobic lately. This was so fast, like, can't you tell? I'm literally already done with the first one and playing with it. And you can see if I used white, you wouldn't even be able to tell that I had turned the headband into the wristband. It would have just blended in totally fine. But I needed you to be able to see my stitch work, so I used black. So you could tell what I was doing. Basic stitch. It literally, anybody who has ever sewn before should be able to do this. It's the easiest thing I think I've ever sewn. The hardest part here is just getting knots in the embroidery thread, which is annoying. I had all these blacks that were pre-wound in strands of 2, because that's the amount I use, 2 at a time. So that's what that pre-strand there is. It's a little annoying to get those off. And then I do, instead of having it, just the knot and then the little loop tail, I do it both tails knotted together. So it's twice as thick and twice as sturdy. So even though it's 2 strands through the eye of your needle, it's ultimately 4 strands of thread per each stitch. So it's extra sturdy. Blah, blah. Does that make sense? Oh my goodness. You can't use fabric glue for something like this. It absolutely will not work unless your wrist is like basically the size of the band and it's not stretching. But if you need any sort of stretch, it will definitely break fabric glue down really fast if you're putting pressure on it like that. And then you could sew it in a sewing machine, but I did not want to lug the sewing machine in here for this because it was already so fast anyway. So can you hear my dog down there playing with his toy? Since he's so old, I might have already said this at some point. Since he's so old, on the weekends, we go to different stores. And when we come back with bags in the morning, he always gets a toy out of the bags. So every Saturday and Sunday morning, he gets a new toy. And I don't know which one he's got. Oh, I see it now. It's he's very picky about what kinds he likes. So I try to be careful what kind to choose for him. He likes things that are furry or round. he took one of my tennis balls at some point. They were shockingly good quality. So like I buy dog tennis balls. He flattens those things in a second. They are a mess. So we stopped buying him dog tennis balls because they don't last very long. I bought myself real tennis balls for playing real tennis, and you know how that goes with a dog. One of them wound up rolling towards him and he claimed it as his. So there's no way I was going to take that from him. I just bought a whole nother tube of them so he can have a tube. And then I bought a tube for my sister's dog too because he's an Australian Shepherd and he destroys everything like really bad. Like there's no such thing as indestructible toys. All those brands that try to claim to be indestructible, yeah, as if like what dog did you have test it? A freaking baby? Like you definitely did not have a big actual dog test any of those. Those toys are garbage. We used to buy the indestructible toys for him because he's half Australian Shepherd and half Pitbull. And I am convinced anybody with an Australian Shepherd can't use any indestructible toy because that just doesn't exist. It's not real. We did get him a duck from the dollar store one time that he couldn't destroy for like a year. It took him so long to figure out how to destroy it. So that was $1 well worth. How do you say that sentence? However you say that sentence. Anyways, here's my wrist straps and a blather about next to nothing. I don't even know what I'm talking about over here. But yeah, talk about my noob. Did I ever finish the thought that he gets 2 new toys every week? Yeah. So, whatever toys I like. I like bunnies, so it's usually a bunny or something cute. But of the textures that he likes. And the sturdiest ones I can find because he's rough. He's a chewer. So, yeah. And I think all indestructible dog toys are a lie. Bye.